on the topic of office space and performance. My name is Abraham Park. I will be making a short presentation, and hopefully some of you will join with me on a chat discussion on this topic this Saturday at 2:30 p.m. This is a huge topic, and experts from many fields have produced lots of work and literature in this area. There is a big overlap, but how you might analyze this topic depends on your own background. You can be an academic or a professional in the area of corporate real estate, facilities management, or workplace design, and depending on your background, you may tackle this issue with a unique framework. For me, I have tried in this presentation to give you my version of the heart of the matter and to give you a broad overview of the central questions. Towards the end, I also provide you with my own broad framework in trying to understand this topic better. Regardless of your background, I believe currently there are two main or hot issues that surround this topic. First is how to demonstrate productivity, performance, and added value related to your office environment. People know through anecdotes, experiences, or case studies that work environment does indeed matter in terms of work productivity or work performance, but how can you show it? What's the best model or approach to demonstrate the impact of the work environment? How do you go beyond mere assertions? This is a big question mark, and I believe it will always remain a big question mark. Second related issue is benchmarking. How do you benchmark performance? This is related to the first issue, but corporations, professionals, and academics alike are agreeing on the importance of the working environment, and they are interested in incorporating the innovations and modern findings, but for this to happen, a good benchmark or a set of best practices must come forth, and this is not an easy matter. Now, I believe there are three components of office environment. First is a physical characteristic of the office environment. This includes temperature, lighting, air quality, location, etc. And many studies have been done trying to link between the changes in the physical environment and work productivity or work performance levels. Most of these studies, however, relate to manufacturing types of businesses. But when it comes to professional services or any other types of functions, such studies can't apply very, very easily. Perhaps because of those reasons, there have been more studies that relate to the social, behavioral, or organizational aspect of the office environment. For example, what's the organizational effect of having a particular office layout or office design? How do you balance the individual versus organizational needs? Where do you draw the balance or draw the line between interaction versus distraction for other employees? How do you incorporate collaborative and individual work styles for the company? So this is a huge area, but I think the goal there is trying to provide a linkage between the office environment with the social or behavior aspect of the employees and as well as the company, which can perhaps bring about a overall improved performance or overall improved competitive advantage compared to other companies. Balancing the first two components would be, from the company perspective, the cost that would go into changing the office environment as well as the value that you're trying to acquire, and showing or demonstrating or rationalizing such changes by looking at the impact that such change can provide. So we're dealing with these three components of office environment when we're talking about the linkage between office environment and worker performance. Why performance, you might say? First of all, it is the kind of linkage that is required to justify additional expenditure from company perspective. And for some professionals, it provides them a foundation to move up the ladder, to get into the boardroom. And for you to be able to do that, you want to be able to move beyond a mere cost factor towards the strategic factor aspect of your corporate resources. You want to prove that your office, whether it's from a corporate real estate angle or facilities management angle, is more than just a tangible asset to the company, that it can provide an intangible added value to the company. For you to be able to do that, you want to be able to link to the corporate strategy of the company, and to do that, you need to prove that once again that it's more than just a cost factor. And for that reason, you want to show the linkage between performance of the office to productivity of the employees, or increased competitiveness compared to other industry peers, or maybe its impact on the marketing, perhaps even HR retention ratio. So these are all attempts to link a tangible asset such as the office or real estate or facilities to the more strategic aspects of the company as a whole. Thinking about strategy from top down, where does real estate or office or even workplace design fit under? At the top level, you have the corporate business strategy, and depending on the business unit, you might have a separate business unit strategy. And real estate or facilities are meant to support and align with the business as well as corporate strategies. For you to be able to do that, best way to do that is to find a way to reduce cost, whether it's by better management or making sure that no disasters happen. You can first of all support your strategy very effectively that way, overall strategy that way. But by showing perhaps more than that it is not just about reducing cost, that you can show that it has more than operational importance, your effort. So this can perhaps bring about topics related to spatial importance. For it is true that all of the company's business happens within the four walls or within the built environment, which falls under facilities. So for you to be able to provide some sort of a linkage between what occurs within those four walls to the overall corporate strategy, you can better support and align yourself with the corporate strategy. And perhaps underneath that, or providing additional support to that effort, would be workplace design strategy. Workplace design strategy is essentially the strategic portion of real estate or facilities functions. The argument there is that by thinking about workplace design and strategy, it can provide additional competitiveness compared to other companies who are not thinking about workplace design strategy, whether it comes through increased performance or through retention or marketing or brand. But I think that's the goal of workplace design strategy and its impact on the overall organizational behavior, which can be linked towards the real estate strategy. And if that does well, then it can support and also align with the overall corporate strategy. And the backbone of that argument is essentially being able to prove performance. And how do you do that? And that's the big question mark. If you look at this strategy view from a different angle, from a top-down angle, and look at the dynamics of what's happening within the corporate environment, if you're at the top level of the company, whether it's board of directors or chief executives, you're thinking from top down. So thinking from the aspect of corporate strategy, you want to classify the enterprise assets perhaps into three categories. At the top level are your strategic assets. These assets allow you to achieve sustainable competitive advantage, and these assets include assets such as knowledge, specialized processes, competitive human capital, maybe branding and intellectual property. These are assets that are very difficult to imitate, and therefore these are often not physical assets. So once you've categorized your strategic assets for the company, most of the other assets fall under the second categories of assets or enterprise resources. These are operational assets in nature. These are processes and also physical assets such as factories, offices, and shops, but these are generally imitable, meaning these are quite transparent operational assets that other companies in the industry can easily look and imitate. But the main function of operational assets are to provide management efficiency, operational effectiveness. But the key there is that it's imitable by other companies. And then there's sort of third category of assets, which are purely physical assets. These are generic assets that have no distinguishing features. For example, pencils or copy machines or company cars. These don't provide the company with any type of distinguishing factor, just a raw material for the companies to do their strategic business. So from top down, you are thinking from a strategic asset down all the way to the physical asset level. If you're working in the area of corporate real estate or facilities management or workplace design, your dynamic is trying to work yourself up from the bottom layer of enterprise resources. What you want to show in this progress is that office and workplace design, or how you manage it, can have it's transitioning from being a physical asset all the way up to the strategic asset. So there is this nice dynamic going on among corporations and professionals in these various industries. Now, this debate has also been recognized by the government. OGC.gov.uk, they've published many publications